Consider the other one. This one, S1 plus, I need for satisfying. So for not satisfying, we use S1 minus. So whenever you have more than or equal, you use negative deviation. It's fixed, so it doesn't change to other problem. So whenever your inequality is more than or equal, you use negative deviation. For the second one, the sign, the original sign is less than or equal. Means if you have x less than or equal 100, now you want to change it to equality. If I want to change this inequality to equality, I should add something to some positive value to left hand side. So we should add something, then I have equality. So means that which one I should consider for satisfying? For satisfying, I should consider S2 minus. This is for satisfy. So if I consider the violate or not satisfy, means that we use the other one, the plus. So whenever your sign is less than or equal, you consider plus deviation. It's fixed for all the goal programming. When your sign is more than or equal, you use SI negative. When your sign is less than or equal, you use S to SI positive for minimizing the objective function. So, you see here, first one and second one are goals of the program. So we add divisional variables. For first one, we consider S1 negative, and for the second one, S2 positive. Third and fourth are constraint. We don't change the original constraint, original inequality. So later, when you want to solve the problem, then you should consider which variable you need to add or this one. So when you have equality, means that you should use which method? Sorry, if you want to solve this problem, which method you can use? Can you use graphical method? Graphical method we usually use for two variables. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 variables. So we cannot use graphical model. Means that you should use simplex method, but you cannot use usual simplex method because you have equality at your constraint. When you have equality, means you should use big M method. So for solve these problems, you should use big M method to solve the problem. So before that, you should write the objective function. Still, we don't have objective function. I cannot solve the problem with two objective function. We should change it to one objective. So we use wait method for goal programming. the weight programming means that you give a weight to each goals. So if you have n goals, objective function change to minimize z equal to w1 g1 plus w2 g2 plus wn gn. Summation of each goal multiplied with its weight. So, for example, if I say all the goals have the same weight or have equal weight, means that all wi's should be equal to 1. So when we said all the goals have similar weights, same weights, means all wi's are equal to 1. This weight is not portion. It's not proportion. It's a value like 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we said all the goals have the same weights, means wi's are equal to 1. For this example, it's assumed the company assumed that the exposure goals is twice as important the budget goals. So means that G1 is twice more important than G2. So if I want to get the weights to these goals, means that for G1 the weight should be two, and W2 is equal to 1 because the exposure is twice more important than budget. So means that W1 is 2, W2 is 1. So the objective function for this problem is 2s1 negative plus 1s2 positive. And we use the variables, deviation variables for objective. We don't use G1 and G2 because we don't have G1 and G2 at you don't have at your constraint. So we use SI's plus or negative for objective function. Consider the weight depend on the respect to the information of the problem, then you can write the objective function. So the objective function for this problem is 2s1 minus plus 1s2 plus. So if you want to solve this problem, you should use big M method because you have more than 2 variables, so you cannot use graphical method. And for syntax method, because there is equality in the constraints, we cannot use usual syntax method. We have to use big M method to solve the problem. This is the optimum solution for this problem. Z is 10, x1 is 5, x2 is 2.5. So means that the minutes of it's better they use 5 minutes radio advertise and 2.5 minutes television advertise. And S1 minus is 5. What does it mean if SI's have value? If all SI's are 0, when after you solve the problem, when all SI's, deviation problems, are 0, means that we reach to all goals. So all goals are satisfying if all the SI's are 0. But here, if at least one of them is non-zero, means that that goal is not reached, is not satisfying. So this one, because S1 is 5, means that the goal one, exposure, the company doesn't reach to the first goal. For reach the goals, the company needs 5 million people, for 5 million person to visit the advertise to reach the goal, the first goal. But S2 plus is 0. This one should be 2, not 1. S2 plus for the second, for budget goal, because S2 plus is 0, so means that the budget goal is not violated. We reach to the second goal. So after you solve the problem, then you should discuss about the values of the rational variables, if they are 0 or not. If the question doesn't ask you find optimal solution, no need to solve the problem. But if the question asks you to find the optimal solution, means that you should solve the problem. If it doesn't ask for optimal solution, you need only write the model, the constraint and objective function for the problem. Any question? So now try to solve exercise 4. Did you finish writing? Okay, now write the LP model, write the model for this is the table. You see, for this problem, this is the model. The final model for this problem, minimize z equal to S1 negative plus S2 positive. And you see, for the equation, for first one and second one, we need to add artificial variables because we have equality. And for the third and fourth, because they are less than or equal, so we add slack variables. X3 and X4 are slack variables for this problem. Then this one is the starting table. You should have all the variables here. You see? All the variables you should have here. So now solve example 4. Try to write the LP model for example for exercise 4.
这个 S1 等于5，那没什么，可以继续做。老师说不是要等0才是这个才达到的时间，为什么不等0才是最好的？就可以了。哦。
Reach the city, the hospital plans to short stay assignment, surplus beds, assignment of surplus beds, those that are not already occupied, 4 days in advance. So the hospital, the management wants to consider for 4 days from now on in advance. Yeah, how can the hospital use the extra bed that the hospital has? So during the 4 days planning period, about 30, 25, and 20 patients will require 1 day stay or 2 day stay or 3 day stay. So for 4 days, 30% ask for 1 day stay, 25% ask for 2 day stay, and 20 patients ask for 3 day stay. And the available beds for 3 days, for 4 days, is 20, 30, 30, and 30. So So then the problem actually use the goal programming to resolve the problem of over-admission and under-admission in the hospital. So it means that you should write the problem to solve that, how many beds they need for day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4, and in which day they can accept all patients and which day they cannot accept all the patients. Means that the hospital has 4 goals. The first one is day 1 to reach to can accept all the patients. For day 2, day 3, and day 4 as well. So we need to consider which day they can accept all the patients, use all the beds that they have in that day, and which day they cannot accept all patients. Means they have less than their bed is not enough in that day. So, for solving the problem, we need different variables because we have the different limitation. You have limitation for, you have the some condition for number of patients for 3 days, for 3 different requests. 30% ask for 1 day stay, means 1 night stay at hospital. 25% ask for 2 days. First listen to me, then you can write. We have different conditions. 3 variables we need for the number of the patients that request for 1 day stay, 2 day stay, and 3 day stay. Then we need 4 variables for the available beds for 4 days. And also we need a variable for divisional. So we consider X xi, the number of 1 day stay admitted on day 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because here we have requests for 1 day stay, but we don't know which day they come. So the patient may come at the first day, or second day, or third day, or fourth day. Because of this, we should consider 1 day stay for each day we consider. So xi, we define number of 1 day stay, start at day I. So Xi is number of the patient that come to the hospital and ask for 1 day stay, start from day 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So we have X1, 2, 3, 4. Then Yi or Yj, you can consider Yi or Yj, it doesn't matter. Number of 2 day stay. Day I. If you are confusing, so you can consider this one J, that one I, for not confusing. So you can say Xj, no, and another variable Wi for 3 day stay. The number of patients that come to the hospital for ask for 3 day stay, start at day I. So now you have you can consider all the variables. Variable for 1 day stay, 2 day stay, or 3 day stay. And variable for day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. Because the program is for 4 days at the hospital. So now write the constraints. Now you have the variables. How you can write the constraints? At the first step, don't consider the goals. Just try to write all the conditions that you have. By using these variables, try to write all the conditions. Did you understand the variables or not? Yes or no? Hello, I'm asking questions. Are you awake? Do you understand how you can consider the variables or not? X1 means the number of the patient that come at the first day and ask for 1 day stay. So if for example X1 is 3, means at the day 1, 3 persons come to the hospital and ask for 1 day stay. They want a stay at hospital for 1 day. X4 is 10, means that at day 4, 10 persons come to the hospital and stay 1 day at the hospital. So here, at day 4, 10 persons comes and stay 1 day at hospital. W3, what does it mean? W3, for example, is 5. Means that at day 3, 5% come and stay for 3 days. So now you can write the conditions. What's the conditions? How many patients ask for 1 day stay? 30%. 30 patients ask for 1 day stay. Means that the summation of x1, x2, x3, and x4 should be 30%. Less than or equal 30%. The limitation of the number of patients is 30. So summation of xi's should be less than or equal to 30. Cannot be more than, because only 30% ask for 1 day stay. Then yi's summation of yi's, how many percent ask for 2 day stay? 25. Should be less than or equal 25. And summation of W should be less than or equal 20.